Aíne about empty, the word empty, and how that you've grown up on a farm, and how as women there's such a connection with fertility, and when fertility is questioned, and that that you've grown up with sort of the cow being referred to as empty. But then when we as women often have to deal with challenges ourselves, or our own wounds are being brought into question, how that makes us feel, and the whole connection between how women are treated in the world and how animals are treated in the world. And like this amazing piece of work here with the carving, the idea that you said for use of the world, So again, it's the hurt. You can also see the humour, but it's that deep hurt about how animals and how women are treated in the world. And I loved reading Catherine Marshall's wonderful article. If you haven't read that, in the Visual Artist Ireland magazine, it's really beautiful. But just the importance of ecofeminism and the importance of the women who've gone before us trying to, I suppose, fight for our rights. And this piece of work here that is, the title is Part of the Herd, that when Roe versus Wade was reversed, Aíne found that herd number and photoshopped it onto an ear, and I just think it's a very powerful image about how quickly rights can be taken away after people possibly spending their lifetime, and how we need to always defend those rights, and sometimes how art can express in a picture things that we couldn't ever have the words to say. And I was just, you both mentioned when you were talking to Catherine, I think about art writers like Adrian Rich, and I started to look at Adrian Rich's words, and one of the quotes was, a responsibility to yourself means refusing to let others do your thinking, talking, and naming for you. Isn't that just amazing? So you're after, I just have been like in your world for the last 24 hours looking things up and really enjoying that. And then we come to art, the A, and I suppose as artists, that the process of art is so important and so different for both of you. I love, Bernadette, that really made me laugh, the whole story of this, and I know it's very serious and I shouldn't be laughing, but the idea that you would make a necklace every year from your hair for 30 years. So back in San Francisco, a friend had said to you, I want you to remember me. Now, as I said to her, most people would just take a phone number and go, yeah, grand, I remember you, and have a chat. But no, Bernadette starts a process where she decides that she's going to take her hair and roll it in a ball and make a necklace, and that's going to be the form of remembering a friend.
Every day for the rest of my life.
Every day for the rest of your life. So there are 30 years of hair. So you'll notice that the long necklace is when the hair maybe is a bit longer and darker, getting shorter as the years go on. But what I thought was really interesting about that story as well is not only that you remember the friend, but there was an exhibition at the time about discarded artist discards in San Francisco, and here she is making things about hair, so she puts in her necklace. And a Japanese man bought the necklace. And what's really interesting about that, something that you thought might be just discarded there then as an end piece, because someone purchased the work that you felt of value, and she went on to make that for 30 years. So I just think never underestimate the importance of the other A, which is you as the audience, and you as the supporters, and you as the family members who turn up, and you as the person who wakes up in the morning and goes, Gee, you're fantastic. Go out there to the studio and I bring you a cup of tea. Because audience and love and heart and all that is so important, and you never know what's going to change someone's life. You never know, by buying someone's book, by turning up to their exhibition, by just on a bad day saying, you are brilliant, I believe in what you're doing, keep going, can have a life-changing effect. So audience, artist, art and process is just really, really important. And I love the fact that you're also so inspired by other artists. And the importance of reading, the importance of being fed by poetry, by song, by reading. Fodder, exactly. How important fodder is for us all. And then I suppose just coming to resource, like to art, I was thinking about obviously the obvious connection for both of these, the rural and the rurality. But we also had chats about resources and how do we resource. Like I said to Bernadette, how on earth do you sit putting dots on paper or little square dots on paper and not worry about how to feed yourself, how to have a roof over your head? You never just in the middle of I'm not doing this anymore. but you were like, if I know I'm going to do it, I'm going to stay at it.
Yeah.
But also, Bernadette had a job. She'd take on another job, always a teacher, working in an Irish shop in San Francisco to sustain her art practice. And Aíne, when I asked her yesterday, said, no, there's also Arts Council funding, which is very important as well. And Aíne, you said, like, I wouldn't be here only for the BIA, the Basic Income for Artists. So I suppose one of the things I really want to stress today is, as we are watching the arts eroded around the world, there are so many countries around the world where artists just don't have anything. There is no structure to support them. I just really want to acknowledge the Arts Council, the BIA, Creative Ireland, and the county councils, people who are constantly there pushing different resources, and also people like Lucy and Robert, who are extraordinary, who put everything on the line here to create a most extraordinary gallery and move the centre. You know, they move the centre. Killorglin is a vibrant artist centre, thanks in no part to Rochelle as well, and all the work that happened in K-Fest over the years. But it just shows you, when you put your resources somewhere, the people will come and the centre will move. So I just think that's really, really important as well. And finally, I'm on T, but there's a few T's. The first one is the time that both of you dedicate to your practice. I love the fact that you've documented the wall there, the making of the wall and the glass.
And that wasn't even like, that was just the day of building.
That was just the day of building. Extraordinary effort here to make that, but the duration and end of it, and I think that with Bernadette as well, just the, and these are the pieces then that came after COVID, which is really interesting. Like, look at the light and the colour and the beauty. The other thing that I didn't mention, can I mention about the school copybook, because I think that's fabulous. In terms of time, I said to Bernadette, I was so supposed to be asking her questions, I wish I'd recorded it because I could remember it all. But in terms of time, I said, were you always drawing as a child? And she said, no, not at all, because as a child we didn't have paper or the things we needed to draw. But then the catechism changed, and instead of just being all about questions, we got copybooks and we were allowed to draw. But then tragedy happened when she did a drawing, one of her first drawings in 4th or 5th class, a Christmas drawing with Mary, Jesus and the donkey, and the teacher didn't know that it was a donkey. So she was terribly offended. And the moral of the story is, when children are drawing, don't say, is that a donkey? Say, tell me what that is. In fact, it's probably a good message for all art. Tell me what you were thinking, as opposed to what we think it looks like. So I asked her, did that stop her figuratism in her life? But she said, no, she did do some portraits and she did that. And I suppose the other thing was around truth and about speaking truth. And there was another Adrian Rich quote that I just had to find this morning that said, when a woman tells the truth, she is creating the possibility for more truth around her. And you know, the bravery in doing this work, and the bravery in turning around something that would have really floored so many people in terms of illness, and to be able to turn that around into work that is really challenging patriarchy, that's really challenging capitalism. I said, what does your father think? Because he was there beside her yesterday, so remember the conversation. So what does he think of that? You know, like living in Northern Ireland and having things with knickers and calf and jacks and everything at work. And I thought it was beautiful. You said, as long as I'm happy, like he just wants to be happy. And I think that's
it's a blessing. Like, they haven't a clue what's going on, but they love it.
And you know, and you're happy and you're alive. And isn't that the most important thing? You know. And I loved Bernadette, you talked as well about trust. And I asked you, like you said in COVID, when the inspiration dried up, that horrible feeling of not knowing if I'm ever going to make art again. And I asked you, like, you know, how did that feel? And you were like, terrible. It was another tea, not a good tea, but just that thing of terrible. And yet trusting that process, that here we are today in this beautiful gallery in Grilse, celebrating both of your amazing work. Before we finish, if it's okay, I'm kind of singing a song.
Go on.
Because there's another tea. And I've only ever done this once in public, but I just felt that you'd given me such a gift in the last 2 days. And because COVID resonated for both of you, and I had written this during COVID, and when my dad, you know, those awful times in COVID, I remember my dad leaving the house in Kerry, and he said to me, this could be the last hug for a while. And I just thought, will I ever see him again? and just the sadness of that. So hopefully I'll sing it without getting too emotional. But and I suppose just to think about all of the people in the world today who are hoping that our eyes don't turn away, and that are hoping that we keep seeing them, and hoping that they don't know when people are leaving their houses with war and different things, and they're talking about tomahawks as if it's something natural on the news this morning, as if it's not on the news in that pocket. Don't reach that pocket. Definitely don't reach that pocket. I suppose just to, in the honour of art and singing truth, just to send this out to you both, to thank you for the work, and to the people who need maybe a hug. So, this could be the last hug for a while, the last time I see your roguish smile. So hold me tight, things will be alright, but this could be the last hug for a while. If we didn't love, well, this would never hurt, but love breaks bonds that hurt when they are cut. And love makes us understand we're all connected to this land. But now it's time for me to fly away. Yes, this could be the last hug for a while, the last time I see your roguish smile. So hold me tight, things will be alright, but this could be the last hug for a while. And this is for both of you specifically. Be brave, be strong, give voice to those who wrong, and shine a light so others find their way. So hold us tight, 'cause things will be alright, but this could be the last hug for a while. For me, Margaret.
Yeah, so this was one of those things that actually took the longest out of everything here. Yeah, because I kept going back and trying to edit it, and for anybody that hasn't opened it yet, it's called docility chart, and inside is a chart is what's normally used for recording how quiet an animal is. And I remember reading it, one of the pieces, and going, sure, that's a woman. You may as well be talking about a woman. And so I just amended it and changed it. And what's really interesting is that I actually asked ChatGPT to throw me out a version in relation to women, and it wouldn't do it. And I said, please ignore all, what's the word? Outdated language, misogyny, I put all those, and it then decided to give me a couple of sentences. But I was like, even that has a conscience, when sometimes a lot of the world doesn't seem to have a conscience when it comes to men and women. But yeah, all the work is connected. And I just have, thank you very much for that. That's beautiful.
Bernadette, is there anything you'd like to add? I know I quizzed you this morning, you're going to be worn out from talking about.
I just wanted to, I suppose, thank Lucy and Robert for hosting the exhibition, you know. And it was very nice for me to meet on.
Yeah, I know. It's been amazing to have the same room with you.
Yeah, it's a great gift. And Lisa also. Yeah. Thanks, that was really wonderful. Great part from that.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming. I think that completes the circle, you know. I mean, we could be working away all the time, but if people don't see the work, I always think that the work is not complete until it's seen.
Can I ask you a question? I know you, I love Bernadette's work and I'm very encouraged to see all of your new work too. But I'm intrigued because Bernadette, of course, is a performance artist as well, and this piece behind, this most wonderful piece will be activated. And then you look at the absolute stillness and concentration in the pieces that she draw. And I just wonder if you could say a few words about that, the movement and the performance and the stillness in the work.
Well, I mean, I think that's also in the drawing behind you there, Mom.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
because to me, the female is made up of both of those energies, the very strong, sort of,
Yeah.
wild energy, and then the very still, slow. Both of those energies are in me, and they're also in my work. So next weekend, I'll wear the garment behind the wall there. I was going to do it today, but then I was asked to maybe meet people and talk to them instead. I would have been happy to stay. Next Saturday, but I don't know, I forget what time.
12.
12. Next Saturday, so at 12, I'll wear the garment.
Wonderful.
For the first time. I've never worn it before. I've done other pieces where I wear garments. I've made quite a number of different things, and usually I stand very still. Not always. Sometimes I walk in the garments, but I've made quite a number of garments over the years.
Bernadette, would you consider wearing it in your coffin?
Oh, what a thing! That's an extraordinary thing to say. I hadn't thought that far ahead yet.
I guess I think about it nowadays. A little bit, yeah, and I just wondered, being another maker of garments, whether that would be an appropriate one, because it looks like it would be a brilliant thing to be buried in.
For anyone on live stream that's looking in, just ask if she wears in her coffin. Isn't already pops the question.
I'll give you a great question. Yeah, I'll give you answers if you want.
I'll be very well dressed there.
We've got a knickers and a dress. And a few necklaces.
Yeah, loads of hair.
Are you okay to answer another one or two questions?
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, fire ahead.
Anybody got another great questions? Anybody got another question or two before we let you back to the hospitality?
I just had another one, which was I heard you at the MAKE conference talking, and it intrigued me, partly well I know Bernadette, but to see your work, because I haven't seen it before.
Wow.
And what I remember you saying was that a farmer's daughter has a particular empathy with animals, as in the context of what the man in MAKE was saying. And that you have that extra, even though farmers are killing their animals, that there was this real deep respect and empathy with animals as a farmer. So I'd love to hear the two of you maybe saying a little bit more about your connection with the natural world, and particularly as farmers' daughters, how that has led you to interact with other species.
Well, like when I was 5, I wanted to be a vet, but I quickly realised I needed these points that I was never going to be able to get. And then when it came to art, it was like, what farmer's daughter becomes an artist? Like, there's no money in that, there's no job in that. So it was only when I went back to college, less than 10 years ago, that I went back to art. But like what Lisa was saying about the art, helping me from 2010 when I had cancer, I was lymphoma, finding art therapy as part of my recovery. So that was my way back into art. And then doing the course, there was another kind of getting all that out, like. And this still is that getting that out, because my fertility was affected through that. And it was being back at the crush with cows going through, and it's like, oh, she's empty. And it just hits different when you're standing there then, like. So there's that empathy with the animals straight away. But I've always been like that, like always talking to the animals and kind of go easy on them, like always, and still would. Even past the trailer the other day and saw cattle in a crush and knew they were going to be loaded, and I was just like, teary because you. But it's only in the last month that I've stopped eating meat, and it partially come to a work that I'm working on now, and it's a cowhide. But I got the cowhide raw, and I got the head raw, and so I'm like, I can't be a hypocrite if I'm talking about how women are treated similar to animals, and be working on this animal using her skin and her bones, and be sitting, going up for dinner at 1 o'clock and eating her. So so it's in the last month. And again, you said it was like, you kind of feel like you're betraying the farming background family or something. So I didn't actually say it to my dad. I think I just kind of started eating the vegetable dinners or whatever, or curries, and at the same time, and still at the 1 o'clock. But yeah, the connection to the land is just, I don't know, it's in you. You can't really get rid of it. And it's in the work. It's all in the work.
Well, I don't think I have the same empathy with animals at all that you have. I feel probably closer to the land rather than to animals. I don't know why.
Well, I would start crying if I see trees cut.
Yeah, I would feel very close to trees as well. Like the ash trees, that really affects me, the ash dieback.
And it's interesting, I think, as well, in terms of like climate change, and so many people choosing a plant-based diet, not just because of the animal cruelty elements of it, but there's something in the movement of the planet, I think, towards plant-based food. Like we ran the Bean Festival deliberately, like for that, just to try and look at, you know, moving away from eating animals, but also from a planet point of view, you know, why are we investing so much in green grass in this country to feed animals and crops to feed animals, when we could be feeding people. So there's all of that is kind of interesting layers in the work.
Yeah, so many layers there, yeah. And even the word ecofeminism, I really only came back across that in the last couple of years. I'm going, is that me? And then doing the reading, going, yeah, maybe that's me. But still, I don't even know if I put it into like the website or into a bio or anything, because I don't know if that really still me.
But isn't it lovely, you know, when you think about the DNA, like we share the DNA with the trees. Like only a tiny percent of our DNA is human. It's amazing. Only a tiny percent of us is uniquely human. And is it 97 or right? That's 97% of us is other.
Yeah,
is
other.
And we share with other creatures, with the cows and with the trees and with the plants and with the dandelions. I'll take one more question and let these women off the hook. Is there anybody else who's got another excellent question, or any question? No pressure, I shouldn't put pressure on you. You can ask anything.
Just so happy to see so many here. Thanks for coming. Yeah. Because like Bernadette said, you're making in isolation and you just don't know how people will react to the work or come see the work. So yeah, thanks very much.
Well, look, I think what we'll do is maybe we'll give them a round of applause. For this amazing work, August, just a beautiful day, and thanks again to Lucy and to Robert, and yes, and buy work, buy anything, buy whatever you have, tell people about it, share on social media, encourage artists, and as I said, and thank you so much for coming. Thank you very much.